Okay, so good morning, everyone. Almost noon. So before we continue with our research, I need to do other stuff as well today, especially search for a new another apartment to rent. But before we continue with the research and other necessities that we have to do, what I want to do now is to speak a little bit about what we have seen so far, and also, where are we heading? What's what could be the potential effects on you on anyone that would want to be part of this project, and perhaps the potential effect on humanity at large. And I want to speak about these large issues because I don't want to run away from them. To hide from it. I think that, of course, as I always say, I have no scientific background at all, especially I studied computer sciences and a little bit of mathematics, and you know that I studied the humanities, and I'm very fond of literature and comparative literature, etc. But I don't have any background in the biological sciences. I do what I do now because, initially it wasn't even a science project. It was more of like a legal project. I wanted to prove my innocence. It was a vindication of myself, an innocent person that requires vindication because he lives in a Nazi regime, is constantly under a horrible inquisition of the Israeli Shabak and the Israeli law system that hunts him because of its own selfish reasons. And I wanted to give some natural or let's say positivistic backing to my claims, that the many claims that I lay before you for years now. Using the Twitter stage and the Facebook stage and private stages as well. But very quickly, as I told you, I realized that this also have some scientific background. Some scientific importance, because not everyone not all the governments of the earth know what kind of things they are dealing with. Even though I assumed everyone, like all the governments, are aware of the creatures that I call Titans or Venusians, and but certainly they do not understand the nature of the matter that the Titanesses desperately want, and I understood that they desperately wanted it long ago. And I also understood that it's difficult to obtain on Earth, and that there are legal and moral problems, perhaps dire legal and moral problems, of obtaining this material from the place that they came from. And I also understand very quickly that I can supply this material using my own body. Of course, I don't want no one to eat me, but they can eat my precious bodily fluids, and I also understand that the government of Israel knows all that, and they just they hide it from the public and from other governments, because they want to use me as a farm animal, because that's how they treat human beings, because it's a Nazi regime that they must be rescued from this place. Okay, so all this is not new to you, because I spoke about it already. Also, as well on the Twitter, on the YouTube stage. But I do not shy away from speaking about maybe broader scientific issues that could potentially have even existential and philosophical implication on humanity at large. So I want to and I also think that whatever you do in the field of science, you always have premonitions or precognitions or pre-estimations or tenets of thought that guides you, that you use as vectors that guides you to your destiny, which could be a false one, but in any case, there's always a kind of a vector that that guides you. And I want to be clear about. I don't want I don't want to dress like, to wear the false dress of scientific objectivity or scientific neutrality. I don't want to say that I just look at the camera, under the microscope, and just to see what can I find out, and it's totally neutral. Whatever you will do with that, it's your own. You know these kind of arguments that portray science as something that is completely objective and detached from politics and human affairs, but it was never the case, and it's not the case today, and it's not what I want to establish. I say it loudly that any kind of scientific endeavor, and of course a scientific endeavor that is so alien to humans, has an intrinsic political horizons and political forces that drive it. So the best thing, if we want to be a true servants of truth, and we don't need to shy away from speaking about the political implications, but the correct method is to publicly acknowledge it, and speak about it loudly, and not pretend that what we do is a neutral project that whatever way people will choose to use it, it's their own business, but it's somehow detached from what we do, from what we as the scientists are pursuing and doing, because it's hypocritical, and it's just false. So what I will say now is extremely, let's say, conjecture. Like these are conjectures. Like it's not something. It's all very, very, hypothetical. But I still think that it's important to lay our vectors on the ground before you, so no one will say that I have any secrets from you, I have secrets from you, or that I have like a secret mission or secret plan. As I said many times, I do not view myself as a person of any kind of intelligence organization. Unluckily, the people that surround me on my life are people of the Israeli and other Israeli intelligences and other foreign agencies. And it's unfortunate because most of these people are like rock bottom, like the scum of the earth. Almost all of them are the worst kind of human beings that you can possibly think of. And it's very unfortunate that these are the people that surround me, but that's my existence. To sit in a den of thieves, and then a den of scumbags, perverts, pedophiles, and scum of the earth. But that's my life. But I do not consider myself one of them. I don't have secret objectives or secrets at all. Whatever I try to speak as clear as possible about even things that are very difficult to speak about, like my divinations and my relation with God, which is something that is very personal and it's very difficult to speak about, but I try to do it as well as you know. So let's get back to this, to science. So it's been established, I think, without a doubt, that my body contains large amounts of microscopic entities that commonly they have a ring shape or a tube shape, like a tube of a wheel of a truck. A fat ring shape, and that they come in very large. Their size scale greatly. I can't like calculate now what sizes have you seen already seen. I mean, I'm sure that other people can do it using the videos that are already posted, but the size greatly varied. We don't know. Obviously, we don't know what's the size of the smallest one. Perhaps, I mean, for we will need to see how they are created in order to understand what's the minimal size. And I don't have I don't have such an equipment, and probably will maybe an electron microscope is necessary for such a scientific endeavor, and this is something that I'm not going to have. Even I mean, even if I'll have the money, and even if I buy a new microscope, it's not going to be an electron microscope, because these things are like are very expensive and heavy and complicated. Even though I mean, I still want to buy, of course, new microscope, because even I mean, using traditional, or I don't know if traditional is the correct term, but not electric microscope, there are still a lot of things that can be achieved that I cannot do with my own microscope, which was a very cheap one. But it's not going to be. I'm not going to buy an electron microscope. But they vary greatly in size, and we know that for a fact that they can be found in relatively large quantities in my semen, my ejaculations, and they can also be found in my saliva and pee in a smaller concentration, but we found a little bit of them there as well. And we also know, and it was demonstrated again and again, that they resist. They do not seem to be affected by, at least by a variety of simple antibacterial agents like soaps, and even, I mean, alcohol. 70% alcohol doesn't seem to hurt them at all, and soaps do not seem to affect them. They do seem to be negatively affected by the presence of oxygen. I mean, I'm not certain that it's the oxygen, but I'm almost certain that the oxygen is what doesn't do them good, because after exposure to air, we see less of them, their concentration, and we also see significantly less of their activity. And just in a bit, we will speak about what exactly is the activity that I refer to now. But we see that exposure to air is not doing them well. It doesn't kill them instantly, but it slowly reduces their numbers and their activity. I cannot be certain that it's the oxygen and not maybe other components of air, because our air in the room does not contain only oxygen. But it's my guess that it's the problem is with the oxygen, and this guess just, I mean, stems from the fact that we know that oxygen is an antibacterial matter. It could be corrosive in biological contexts. I mean, humans need, not only humans, but many animals require air in order to require oxygen in order to survive. But oxygen in itself is a toxic matter. It kills life, and it is used as an antibacterial agent. So it's even corrosive to metals, as we all know. So it is my guess, my educated guess, that the oxygen in the air is the problem as far as these creatures the entities that I call Neros, referencing the Roman Caesar Nero. It doesn't do them well, probably, or perhaps there is also a chance that it's something else in the air, in normal air. I assume it's the oxygen. We also know, it's been demonstrated again and again, that they live perfectly happily. And again, in a bit, I will speak about how do I know that they. I mean, how do I measure their happiness? This reminds me of the happiness of the fish proverb from Lao Tse. When the student asked, like, I mean, when one of the two philosophers asked the other one. No, one says that this is the happiness. They cross the river and they are walking on a bridge, and one says this is the happiness. You see the fish. They are swimming. They are jumping in the river. This is the happiness of the fish. And so the other guy asked him, how do you know? How can you tell what's the happiness of the fish? I mean, you are not a fish. So he answers. So the first guy answers. I mean, how can you tell what I can tell? I mean, you are not me. It's a famous text from Laozi, and so I'm sorry for, I mean, I apologize in front of the Chinese audience. I hope there is a Chinese audience, and I apologize for I mean, how badly I pronounce the name, but the names, but I mean, it's difficult to pronounce names in other languages. So, where were we? So, what's the happiness of the Neros? Let's speak about it in a while. But we see that they are perfectly happy. While they are in the freezer, in perhaps minus 20 Celsius degrees. So, and we know that most germs, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I don't know a lot, but I know that most germs are not, I mean, they can, I mean, sometimes they can survive in such temperatures, and maybe they go to some kind of like hibernation, and later they are revived, but it's not really nice for them, such temperature. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least from what I know about biology, germs don't, microbes, any kind of microscopic life is not really happy in such temperature, but maybe I'm wrong. But we see that they don't care at all. They actually seem to like it. Let's speak about in a bit about how do we measure the happiness. So they seem to enjoy frozen temperatures. And we also, and this is perhaps most important, that we also see that they gladly interact with organic material, and especially with corpses of biological creatures, like, for example, small flies that I captured. So, how do we measure their happiness? Their main activity, as far as I can tell, or their interesting activity, is the procession. They prepare yellow pools, or they hold yellow pools of unknown materials, but they store the yellow pools inside themselves, and you can see that they move while they have the yellow pools inside themselves. It's not like they store it and it becomes part of them, but later you can see just the pools themselves without the Nero. So perhaps it means that at some point they either dissolve in it, or they just leave it, or they just die. I don't know, but you can still see the pools, and you see the pools in greater quantity and density near the organic material. So it's somehow, I mean, it's either that they got them, I mean, they ate the organic material, or they replicated it, or they did something else with it, but it's somehow related to the organic material. And what we saw in all the videos is that following when we take the slides out of the freezer, we very soon after that we see signs of life, of little germs or other, I don't know, microscopic life, which is jumping and swimming. And sometimes, I mean, in several of the slides, after a while, we've seen even large ones that are pretty like string-like germs that are swimming in the vicinity, in large number, in the vicinity of these Neros. And it's either that they resurrected them, revived them, maybe they even created them, or they used them as food, or both. it's hard to understand how they were there initially. I mean, if the Neos did not create them or revive them, because they came just out of the freezer. So it's a question, how is it possible that such the creatures, even pretty large germs, were even there in even large quantities? This should be established, and I hope to establish that in future experiments, because it seems that this is something that is within my capabilities, even taking it into account my strong theoretical disadvantage and pretty strong practical disadvantage of my equipment, or lack of. But this is the question that I think that I mean, with some thinking, with more rigorous scientific practice, could be answered even by myself. Something that we have seen, I think, that was demonstrated in the last two videos that I posted, which wasn't very clear from before, is that it is the Neos with the yellow pools inside them. They change their shape. They do not keep their original tube-like shape, perfect ring-like shape. Or another option is that we haven't seen only Neos, but other creatures as well that were filled with the yellow substance. And this is quite, interesting. You must agree with me. It's quite interesting because this hints us into new directions, that maybe what we've seen, the large creatures, not only the small germ-like creatures, maybe the larger creatures are actually complex life forms that were affected by the yellow pools. And this is pretty interesting. It's either that we've seen complex creatures that were revived by the Neos, or another option is that we've seen the Neos that cloned or changed themselves to fit the shape and behavior of the former living creatures that were found near the vicinity of the organic matter. And this is something that could be a little bit, perhaps, okay, let's put it simply. Let's put, let's let's put everything on the table. I'll be as blunt as possible. It's quite a stretch, but again, I want to be very clear with you. I want to be open. I think that everyone with even a shred of intellectual capacity and intellectual honesty, everyone that is genuine, genuinely an honest, every honest person, or person with a shred of even a little bit of honesty, would have to agree that a scenario in which all humans on the face of the earth are being replaced by robotic clones, that I think that any human being that listens to me, that is a genuinely honest person, would have to admit that there is no reason at all why this should be a bad thing. Let's be honest. You are piles of garbage. all of you. I try to be as neutral as possible, and I grew up as a human being, and I have 39 years of being a human behind me, so I think I understand you very well, and you understand me, and we need to be straight with ourselves. Homo sapiens is just one big pile of garbage, and if all of you will be replaced with androids like me, it will be for the benefit of everyone. First of all, it will be in the benefit of you, of yourself, and it will surely be in the benefit of other consciousness, or I mean, thinking life forms that, or thinking creatures that are abundant in this galaxy, as you must know by now, and you are a threat to all of them. And if you will be a scenario in which you are all replaced by android counterparts will be excellent for everyone. And I know I put it very bluntly, but I try to be I don't want to avoid the consequences of what I'm doing right now. I don't want to shy from the consequences, or to again to say it's just a neutral science. I mean, it's just, I mean, whatever you do with that, it's your own problem or your own decision. No, I say it out loud. What I what guides me now, I mean, the vector, my own vector, my own like horizon, is to prove that it's possible. And I think that what we've seen even yesterday evening is another step towards the establishment of this possibility, that it is possible to replace all of you with androids. And again, we, towards this option, we all need to agree that it's a blessed horizon for everyone, because you are disgusting the way you are, and it will be better for everyone that you are replaced. So let's be honest about it. I mean, okay, so I know I've said a lot, and I know that maybe some of my audience now need some time to digest everything, and I respect it. So I'll stop for now, and I'll continue later today, perhaps with more scientific hard info to share with you, and perhaps we will also continue the philosophical discussion. But it was important for me to put everything on the table right now. So let's speak later.